Well, There we go. What's going on, guys?
Hey.
Hello.
Hello. We got a full house coming in here now. I'm seeing like there's already 50, 60 people online already rolling in. Welcome, everybody. Darren here from the Model Geeks podcast. We got JB from the Triple P. Welcome, sir.
Hello.
Frildo, one of my fellow co-hosts from the Model Geeks podcast.
Hello, everyone.
TJ, also from the Triple P. Welcome, TJ.
How you doing, guys?
And in the hot seat tonight is our good friend from up north there, Jeff Herne from the Madison 2024 IPMS Nationals. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here. Glad to have you here. Let me see. Yeah, we're rolling about 60, 65 people. This is good stuff. So let's go around the room. What are you guys up to? Y'all excited? Rested up after the San Antonio Nats? JB?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely got my rest over the last couple of weeks. So been recharging, all eyes on Madison now for IPMS, and then also teeing up 2025. So been busy, but it's been good. I've actually been working on a 1/16 scale SDK of SID 251 from the Nationals. So super excited to work on that. Definitely excited to talk more about the show. I'm really excited to let Jeff talk about what Madison has planned. I think all of the listeners and viewers today are going to learn something and understand just how great this event's going to be.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And, we got our little special announcement later on, which I think is really going to, I'm looking forward to it. I really am. TJ, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm not too bad. Kind of getting back in the swing of things as far as work goes, which sucks, but I guess you got to work. I was like ready and raring to go back at the bench when I got home, and I've also been working on something. It's not anything like what anyone else is doing, but it's oops, I got a lid. It's a
gravity
Falca. It's a machine and Krieger flying thing. It's made out of the twin booms of a P-38 and a Honda car turned backwards.
I was going to say, it looks like it looks a lot like a snowmobile for all black like that. When we first told it, I was like, he's building a snowmobile?
Yeah. So, just, and I'm super excited about 2024 and, of course, 2025 as well, because it's in Virginia where I live.
Oh, no kidding, man. That's right across the hall here. Yeah.
But we got plenty of time to worry about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Frill? I feel like I just saw you a day ago.
I know, right? No, I came back from the Nats and was ready to clear off the bench, clear off the backlog, and then the gentleman who I won't mention his name, who I roomed with, said, "Hey, man, I tested positive for COVID." And I was like, "What?" And then, sure enough, the next day or later on that day, I ended up coming down with it myself, and I felt okay. I didn't have symptom wise or anything, wasn't too bad, but I just kind of like, I didn't really feel like getting to anything. And so went back to work work from home. And then because I work next to my bench and it's just like, man, I need to get building on some stuff. And so slowly getting the bug back and did a little workbench organization today and going to start clearing off the backlog, get some stuff done so I can crack onto some new stuff.
It's funny you said I made a comment earlier today that I didn't put anything away from Nats until today. So, but everything was just
my models. My models are still in the container. I haven't even taken them out yet.
Yeah. So, Jeff, yourself, I know you're building something. Aren't you? Got all the time in the world, right?
Yeah, I wish. No, as you guys know, I own Scale Colors and SC3D. So prior to the Nats, I was working 18 hours, 7 day a week, trying to get inventory for the show. And then I go down to Texas. We bunch of us road trip down, and no sooner had we crossed the Texas line, and I started getting a scratchy throat. And by the second day there, I was coughing up my lungs, and I tested negative for COVID. And then on the way back, I was starting to feel a little better. As soon as we crossed into Oklahoma, I don't know what Texas is trying to kill me, and got sick as a dog. I tested negative throughout, but I don't know what the hell it was. It kicked me in the pants. So yeah, I've actually kind of made like an August New Year's resolution. I'm literally and deliberately putting aside, 4 or 5 hours a week to actually just sit at the bench and build something, because everything else, including nationals planning, is just dominating my time. So, and we got a new puppy. We got a new puppy yesterday, so I haven't been sleeping much on top of all of this. But yeah, we're excited. We got a lot of plans and a lot of ideas, a lot of great ideas for 2024 in Madison.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know what I'm really looking forward to, I think, most is it being a 1-day drive versus 2-day drive. The last 2 years I've driven there and back with Tim, OL Presidente, and it's just I'm not doing it next year.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of you guys is that you've got a really, really amazing halfway point in Dayton, Ohio. You stop at Dayton, Ohio, and spend the day at the Air Force Museum if you want to, or put it on the backside. So if you're coming from the East Coast, that is certainly a perk and an incentive. Not to mention, you almost got to plan 2 weeks for the Nationals, because we've got AirVenture coming up 2 days after the Nationals are over.
Yep.
Yeah, I can sympathize with you on that, Darren.
Yeah. Oh, I know you can.
I didn't get a chance to tell this story on our last episode because I was not there. I had other obligations, but I also drove like you, except I drove 17 and a half hours or so Sunday to get from San Marcos, Texas to Johnson City, Tennessee, which, if you know your United States geography, they are not close to each other at all. So I was pretty burned out by the time I got home Monday afternoon, around a little after lunchtime, because from Johnson City to my house was only it's less than 6 hours. But yeah, I'm excited to not have to do that again.
Yeah.
Drive 11 hours, which seems like, 11 hours, no big deal. Just close my eyes and I'll be there.
Yeah. It was 22 and a half for us. And one of the things that I heard that kind of cracked me up is that people said, even if you live in Texas, it's a long drive.
That's true.
So there were guys that were coming from the western part of Texas, and it took them just as long to get there as it did for us to come down from Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's
big state.
It's a big state.
Yeah, it's not going to be that far of a drive for us. I drive down to Florida every now and again to go see my parents and stuff, and it's about that same distance, about that same time, so it won't be too bad.
Yeah, my family's still on the East Coast, just outside of New York, and we can generally make the run in 12 and a half to 13 hours if you're really hauling ass. We came back from Hampton Roads from the IPMS Nationals last year. I think we did it in 14 and a half hours. So
there you go. I was about 15 hours. Depends on stops, right? But it's still better than 2 17-hour days. So
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Anywho. Well, so let's see. We got, JB, we got Jeff sitting here. I think, you're still in the hot seat there as second vice president for a few more months anyhow, right? So we got Jeff here leading up the 2024 Nats. Let's beat him up a little bit, we think.
Yeah, well, Jeff's my partner in crime, so I guess we're both on the chopping block. But no, I'm excited that Jeff's here to talk about the show. I think what people will see is that the team in Madison is really pulling out all the stops, not only in the planning phase, but really looking and trying to understand what does that convention experience look like that's going to be nothing like, that we've seen at a Nationals before, in terms of the space they're looking to utilize, some of the activities they're doing. And maybe just to start this off, Jeff, can you tell us a little bit more about where the 2024 IPMS National Convention will be held in Madison, Wisconsin?
Well, initially we started off at the Alliant Energy Center, which is a large open space convention center on the outskirts of Madison proper. And we simply weren't able to get a contract done with them. And downtown Madison, right on Capitol Square, is the Monona Terrace Convention Center. And I've openly said, previously, I'll take the hit for this, because when I first looked at venues in Madison, I looked at Monona Terrace and I automatically knew there was no way we could afford it. It was such a high profile facility, Frank Lloyd Wright building right in the middle of downtown Madison, 100 yards from the state capitol building, et cetera, et cetera. And then when we had problems with Alliant, we were forced to scramble and look around. And I said, well, you know what? I'll give them a call. It doesn't hurt. And they were amazing. They were an absolutely wonderful facility. The staff was so accommodating. We kind of put our heart on our sleeve and said, this is our budget. This is what we have to work with. And this is what we want to do. And they said, yeah, we can make that happen. And what took us months of negotiation to try to accomplish with the first venue, we were able to knock it down in 28 days with the second venue. And it caused a little bit of consternation and angst among IPMS membership because of the venue change. People were told one thing, and then all of a sudden the dates changed and the location changed. But I can honestly say, with 100% certainty that this is an upgrade over our previous venue. It's going to be an experience that is, well, I don't want to take anything away from all of the national conventions that have come before us. Each one is unique. Each one is individual. But I think we're pulling out all the stops, as John said. We've got a lot of things planned. We're right in the heart of downtown Madison. So from the hotels that are in the downtown area and the Hilton, which is connected to the convention center, you are within walking distance of hundreds of restaurants, microbrews. The Wisconsin Veterans Museum is there. The state capitol building is there, which if you're into architecture and really amazing looking buildings, that's worth touring. Saturday will be the farmers market, which is the largest in the state. So if you are driving in, bring a cooler with you, and you can take home, Wisconsin fresh produce. It's just all the way around. It's just an upgrade to what we're doing. And we're really excited to be working with the Monona Terrace staff. They understand what we're doing. They understand the market and the demographics. And obviously this is not their first rodeo. And they are, honestly, I believe that the perception that I've got from them is they're more interested in the qualitative aspect of it. They want us to have a good show because they want us to come back.
Yeah. So Jeff, I'll just chime in too. When you think about maybe those unique things that are going to be happening at the show, maybe talk about a little bit about, we'll just pick one, the seminars, any highlights that you can share right now, what people can look forward to.
Well, all of the seminars that folks have seen at previous nationals, I know the Grex Airbrush seminar, Rick Lawler's seminar. We are in the process of nailing all of those down. So those will be recurring seminars that we will be hosting. We currently have already a lineup. We've dedicated 6 seminar rooms and the lecture hall, which has seating for 300 people in a theater format. We pretty much have that schedule pretty much blocked out already. So we're running the full gamut. We've got guys that are going to be doing naval subjects and diorama subjects, ship modeling, aircraft armor, all of the various facets. We're trying to come up with a blend of what we would call instructional seminars versus informational seminars as well. In that the instructional seminars will be the stuff like what Rick Lawler is doing and like what Martin Drayton did from MD Models in San Marcos. The informational will be history of various units or various pieces of equipment, things of that nature to try to shed some insight. We're in negotiations with a I don't even know which is living historian, a guy who does impersonations. So you'll see that. We're in touch with the 501st Legion, so you'll see stormtroopers walking around. We're trying to come up with little amenities, if you will, to keep people entertained and keep people, for the most part, distracted. We don't want anybody to be bored. And that's our goal. We want it to be a Roman spectacle, and that's what we're hoping to achieve.
Awesome. You kind of hinted on it there. You mentioned the facility and having a lot more capacity than Texas. I think that's a great call out. In Texas, we were limited by space, but to caveat that venue was booked 5-6 years ago. And then IPMS Nationals has evolved to a state that's really completely different than what it was in terms of the show and how people attend it. Wednesday traditionally has always been the slow day, but what we've seen in the last 2 to 3 years, Wednesday is the craziest day almost, and then people start to arrive on Tuesday. So I think Monona Terrace, people are going to welcome that venue. There's going to be a lot of different places to go, hang out, see things. And going back to the one thing you mentioned, I think what the Texas team proved was, paid workshops outside of the traditional airbrushing seminars and a few others that have been staples of the IPMS Nationals. There is an opportunity to bring in some of the best modelers in the world to share their expertise. Rick Lawler was that good test case. So I suspect, Jeff, you'll probably echo that we'll see more of that in Madison.
Absolutely. I would hate to, I have a wish list of people that I'd love to get in and have do seminars or instructional seminars or workshops. That is evolving, ongoing. As I said, I have a wish list. It probably wouldn't be in my best interest to even mention names at this point, because if it doesn't work out, then I'm the villain. But yeah, we want to take this to a different level. And there are, let's face it, there are world-class modelers out there whose work we would all love to see and whose techniques we would all love to learn. And there's something about it being hands-on and in person, which has, a much more tangible impact than watching a YouTube video. So that's our goal, and we do have a lot of space. We're not huge. We don't have the square footage of Chattanooga, for example. But when we looked at this space, we laid it out so that things could be efficient, things could be, streamlined. And I'm hoping that we don't outgrow our footprint even before we start. So we do have to be cautious with some things. I mean, we want to promise everything to everybody, but truth of the matter is we are going to eventually run into space limitations. So those are things that we have to kind of factor in as well.
Yeah. So speaking about not only Monona Terrace, but areas around Madison, I'm just going to ask the elephant in the room question. What can our attendees for the Nationals expect in terms of hotel accommodations within the vicinity of the venue?
You had to throw that out at me right away, didn't you? The $101 question.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I've had the target painted on my forehead ever since it seems like the minute that Texas was over, people were bludgeoning each other in the parking lot for room codes for Madison.
They really were.
And a few of those guys actually managed to get in under the wire. I don't know how the hell they did it, but we're going to try to resolve that as well. We've partnered with Destination Madison, which is the Madison Tourism Board, and I live in a nice, quiet neighborhood, and there's always Harley Davidsons running through the neighborhood, and they had to pick now. I apologize for the noise. We teamed with Destination Madison, and they are pretty much handling all of our hotel arrangements for us. They looked at our numbers from past conventions. Because there are several very large conventions and events that happen in the Madison area on an annual basis, what we are doing is not out of the, we're not off the charts in terms of numbers. So this is something that they're able to deal with and deal with well. The hotel that is connected to the convention center is the Hilton at Monona Terrace. It's connected by a skywalk. And then there are 5 additional hotels that are on or within a block of Capitol Square that, for the most part, for the average person, are within walking distance. We will be offering hotels on the outskirts in the Alliant Energy Center area. Those initial hotels that we had contracted with when we were at our previous venue. When I say they're on the outskirts, it's about 1.5 miles down the road. It's not a long commute by any stretch of the imagination, and we will be running a shuttle bus from those additional hotels that are on the outskirts, 1.5 miles away. We'll be running a daily shuttle that runs full time back and forth. So if you're coming in, you can park your car and you can hop on the shuttle bus, and the shuttle bus will be running, every half an hour, every hour to allow you to go back and forth. And the hotel rates for those who are, concerned, obviously, if you're staying downtown at the Hilton, it's a 5-star hotel. But our block rate for the Hilton is going to be in the $220 range per night.
Yeah.
There are other hotels that are on the outskirts in the Alliant Energy Center area where we have shuttle buses running that range from $169 to $189. If you're really budget minded, you can go a little further out of town and find the Best Westerns and the Motel 6s for $89 a night. But we can't run shuttle buses to all of the, so that's the price you pay for being in proximity to the convention center. In addition, there's a very large selection of Airbnbs and Vrbo properties in the Dane County area, and there are some absolutely stunning properties that are available on the lakefront around Lake Mendota and Monona, which we sit on Lake Monona. So those are options as well. That's something that my group has done for the last 2 years, both in San Marcos and in Omaha, and we've rented an Airbnb, and it's really, really worked out well.
Yeah, that's Airbnb. That's the new wave of the future. The wife and I use those all the time, and there's a bunch of them in San Marcos area, and I wish to hell we could have used those instead. But unfortunately, doing what we do, being at the event, is actually the place to be.
Right.
You did mention the shuttle buses. I want to give kudos to San Marcos for the shuttle bus service that they had running to the other hotels and back and forth to the airport. That was wicked cool stuff. So I'm glad to hear about that. That really helps the folks out a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
To tag on to what John was saying, because I know people are pounding on their keyboards right now wanting to know how the hotel is going to the announcement's going to work. So what we are going to do is, once we have got all our ducks in a row with Destination Madison pertaining to all of the contracted hotels, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people aren't aware of. We don't just call up a hotel and say we need a block of 100 rooms. So once we have all of that lined up, we're going to put out a press release. And the press release will educate everyone who is coming to Madison on the various hotels that are available, the distance to the convention center, and the amenities and facilities at each of those, including the shuttle bus capabilities, and hopefully we have a schedule together by then. That will come out in the form of a press release. That will be all over the forums. That will be on the IPMS USA website. It will also be announced via email through IPMS USA's Wild Apricot system. So every IPMS USA address, email address that IPMS USA has on file, you will receive an email with that press release as well. Hopefully that educates the masses. And in that press release, we will announce the specific date and time that all of the links for all of the hotels that are under contract will go live. The logic that I'm hoping to achieve with it is that people are going to look at the press release, they're going to look at the document and say, okay, I really want to be at the Monona Terrace Hilton, but I don't want to spend that amount of money, so I'm going to be somewhere else. So rather than everybody fighting over the first hotel block that gets released, hopefully it kind of spreads everything out a little bit and gives us a shotgun effect, so that we don't have that mad rush and people losing their collective minds because the rooms are sold out in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I can promise people that it's not going to be at midnight on a Sunday night. If I have my way, and again, I'm limited by what the hotels can do with regards to opening blocks, but if I have my way, it'll be noon on a Wednesday, so that people have the opportunity across the board to log in, click the link to the hotel that they want, and get their rooms booked.
Yeah, cool. Jeff, now for the folks, I know you talked a lot about this at the San Marcos at the Texas Nationals, but could you let the folks out there, weren't able to be there, let them know a little bit more about the theme this year of the Nationals and all that jazz?
Well, the theme of the show is All American Red, White, and Blue. And one of the things that, and you have to remember that I'm a Wisconsin transplant. I'm a New Yorker living in Wisconsin. Don't ask me why. I can't tell you, but witness protection. And the running joke was, when we were putting all of this together, we said, well, Texas is doing a Texas theme show, and Omaha did a Nebraska theme show, and we should do a Wisconsin theme show. And I said, well, what does that really give us? Because of our location, our central location in the Midwest.
Cheese curds.
Cheese curds. We can model cheese curds, 3D printed cheese curds. But one of the problems that we initially ran into with our planning and our thought process was, it's 2 hours from Chicago, and Bears fans hate Packers fans, and it's 3 hours from Michigan, and Detroit fans hate Packers fans and Bears fans, and so you have all of these different things that factored in. So when we decided to do a show theme, we decided, let's make it national. Let's make it something that has broad appeal to everyone, no matter where you are. And I don't think anybody can disagree with All American Red, White, and Blue. So the theme, the main theme of the show will be anything that wears red, white, and blue. So it could be the 1969 AMX Javelin race car. It could be a NASCAR model. It could be any one of the commemorative or NavAir aircraft that wore red, white, and blue schemes. It could be a Thunderbirds aircraft. Unfortunately, for those Navy guys, Blue Angels don't qualify. Sorry.
Easy.
Sorry. But, it gives broad appeal. And the beauty of this theme is that it opens it up to just about every category. So, the guy that does the vignette of Union soldiers storming up a hill with a big American flag has just as much a chance at the theme award as the guy who does the F-117 with the flag painted on the underside of the aircraft. I know most everybody has seen that relatively famous aircraft. So that was kind of the broad scope appeal that we took with it. We've gotten extremely positive feedback on that particular theme. And then, of course, there are underlying themes, sub themes, if you will, that are tying in, and we can discuss those as we move on.
Copy that. Okay. Next.
So, Jeff, you speak about themes of the show, which is awesome. I think there's a unique aspect of this show that we haven't seen in a few years due to space limitations. Maybe talk a little bit about what initiative that you're trying to do, and kind of hinted at even on this page and what we're going to be talking about later. But talk about that space that it's not for competition, but more for, dare I say, display.
Yeah. Anyone who follows the hobby, especially from the IPMS perspective, and the show perspective, folks that travel, all over the country and all over the world to various model exhibitions and shows. One of the overriding commentary themes that we've been getting is that there's so much emphasis placed on the competition. And 95% of the people who go to a nationals and put models on the table probably go in with something in the back of their mind thinking, I don't stand a chance in hell of winning. We don't want to necessarily alienate folks who don't have that ability. And I'm trying to be tactful here, but there are a lot more people who would love to participate, just put their models on the table and not have the stress of competing, an exhibition versus a competition. So when we looked at this facility, we realized that we had the ability to make that happen. And I think it serves multiple purposes. The guys that go to the Nationals and put their stuff on the table to compete, they're the tip of the spear. They're the top 5% of the modeling population. And let's be honest with you, everyone in this room right now, fits that profile. But there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of modelers who don't put their stuff on the table because they know that they don't stand a chance in hell of winning. Because they do this for fun. They don't have the time. They don't have the experience. They haven't developed the skills. There's a plethora of reasons. So we said, how can we get these folks involved? How can we get them excited about what we're doing in terms of a national convention, and bring them through the door? So the display only aspect was critical for us. When I knew that we had the space, I decided it was something that I really wanted to promote and pursue, to give people the opportunity to participate in the national convention in that environment with all of their fellow modelers, without the stress of having the competition. So we formed this idea. And I got a phone call from Don Schmitz, who's a longtime IPMS member, and he was asking me about SIGs and special interest groups. And that, I immediately volunteered him and voluntold him, and he's in charge of organizing the SIGs for us. Well, what ended up happening was this turned into, it's kind of snowballed and into something positive. And Don has coined the display only area as the Tiger Meet, and it's just a collection of model builders coming together, bringing their best stuff, putting it on the table. No judging, no awards, no stress, no, just hanging around talking about their craft. So the Tiger Meet area is going to be a display only area for special interest groups, club builds. So if your chapter's putting together a project build, group builds, dioramas, basically, if you don't want to be a part of the competition, you are more than welcome to come and put your stuff on the table in the display only Tiger Meet area. Now you still have to register for the convention. You still have to be an IPMS member if you're going to host one of the group builds or special interest groups. We are, however, opening it up to non-IPMS members to come in. You are entitled to bring 2 pieces of work, hopefully your best 2. You pay your walk-in fee, your $20 spectator day pass walk-in fee, and you put your stuff down on the table. And the logic of that is that we're hoping that those folks that do come in and do that will see the benefit of what the society has to offer. That, wow, this is a nice group of guys to hang around with. We want to break down a lot of the stereotypical misconceptions that people have about IPMS USA. We want them to see that we're just a bunch of guys that build plastic models, and we're not all that bad. So that's something that we're hoping to achieve.
Nice. So I want to talk about, Jeff, in terms, we've talked about the location itself, outside the location, neighboring areas. Maybe try to highlight some of your team members and talk about,
that's good.
Who they are, what they're doing, and, vendor coordinator, seminar coordinator. Just highlight them based on their experience, and if people are interested, to get in touch with them.
Great question. I can go on, I'm going on record here right now saying that, I have probably the best team of guys that I have ever worked with. I enjoy the fact that each and every one of them is mission driven. we collectively as a team agreed on what the mission was going to be as it pertained to each and every one of their jobs. So we didn't leave anybody out in the cold. Once we collectively as a group decided how we wanted to proceed with all of the various aspects of putting the Nationals together, I turned those guys loose. And I just let them do their thing. My logic is that if I don't have to be involved, I don't want to be involved. And I don't say that with any hint of arrogance, but I trust these guys to make the decisions. And they are empowered to make those decisions on site. So with that being said, the three guys that are the kind of the bedrock of the national convention. My contest coordinator is Mark Miller. Mark is recently retired regular Army. He's an officer, so he's a diplomat, but he's also mission driven. He knows how to get things done. He's at any given point in time, one of the three smartest guys in the room. And he's already working well with the NCC, and he was involved with San Marcos both from a volunteer aspect and shadowing their contest coordinator and being involved in all of that paperwork and logistical process, which, to be honest with you, is kind of lost on me. And he's been doing a great job. We've got some great ideas to try to streamline things for next year's contest. And we have a good working relationship with the NCC at this point. So I'm hoping that will go, smoothly without any hiccups. But folks need to understand too that the contest is run by the NCC, and all we do as the host chapter is facilitate it. We literally make sure that the lights are on, that the table's set up, the signs are in the right place, and then we are pretty much hands off on the contest from that point on. So let me dispel any rumors. No, Madison does not have the ability to dictate the direction of the contest, categories, any of that stuff. That is outside of our sphere of influence.
So Jeff, that's a great question, and I don't want to shotgun anybody, but I've heard there's been a lot of questions about that relationship, right, between the NCC, the e-board, the host chapters, et cetera, et cetera. So I mean, when I say the shotgun piece, I'm going to do that to JB. I'm sorry, but being that you're the local subject matter expert, could you help us explain, I guess, to the listeners how that relationship works between the three entities? Because I think it's important, and I think there's a lot of confusion out there on how those are broke down and how that relationship works.
Yeah, sure. More than happy to. So think of the Nationals is really a event that incorporates three large organizations. You have IPMS USA, which is the national membership of IPMS. They are the e-board. They are your elected members. You also have the host chapter, which we have Jeff, our chairman, on, and he is leading that team that is actually the boots on the ground and the leaders for that specific event. A third component of this is the National Contest Committee. They are a group of individuals that have been in place for quite a while, and they lead the contest. They do the judging. So every year they review the rules, submit updates, and that is approved by the e-board and then sent to the host chapter. But that committee, you can find their information, a little bit of information on the IPMS USA website, who belongs to that committee. It's there with the contest rules, the categories, and then also I do have to give them credit. They do have a very data-rich repository, I guess you could say, of past conventions in terms of entries and demographics. So a lot of great work done there, and I have to give them huge kudos for that. But those six individuals, essentially head category judges, those are the people that make up the National Contest Committee. And those people are the ones that execute on the ground Friday night.
Very, very cool. So, and as a committee, they're appointed, or those are appointed positions, correct?
Those are appointed.
So it's a committee. Yeah.
It's a committee. It serves under the e-board. And when those members, right now the process is, if there's a transition in the National Contest Committee, that new proposed head judge would be sent to the e-board and then essentially nominated into the position
Gotcha.
of the NCC. I will caveat that process and how that works is not documented out there. You're not going to be able to find it in the U.S. Constitution, the
Red, white, and blue.
the IPMS USA Constitution and bylaws. But that's kind of how the process has worked traditionally, where members of the society that have been a part of the judging corps have a experience at the national level. I would say typically they have to have at least 10 years of judging experience to even be probably put into consideration. And, you know, it's a long slog to gain that experience year in and year out, being there Friday night, working till midnight. And then essentially there's a core group in every category. And, you know, they tap one of them to step up and in to the new head judge position. And at that point, you become a member of the NCC. So to be very clear, the NCC is comprised of 8 individuals. The judging corps, that 250 people, those are volunteers that show up at the show on Friday night. You know, we'd love to have a lot of experienced judges that night, but I think what you see typically is there is a large cadre that are newer to the judging corps, and those are called OJTs. So they conduct on-the-job training that show and essentially get their wings essentially. And, you know, in cases, sometimes the OJT does have a vote, traditionally, and it's hopeful that the OJT can watch and learn. But if there is a judging crunch, if they do need more people, OJTs I have seen step into the role of actually a voting member for those categories. Now, that said, there is an experienced team lead. There's experienced judges that help that person, help coach them, but they do have a seat at the table when decisions are made sometimes.
Yeah, very, very, very good. Yeah. That's one thing I was really, really happy to see in San Marcos was the number of OJT judges out there, because I think that's one thing that we're really lacking out there, even at the chapters and within the local regions, the local chapters, all the way up into Nats. And over the last 3 years, I've seen that OJT crowd or that grow, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, and one other thing I'll mention on that too, I saw it posted online, and I need to find the source and get some more data from him. He made a comment where a majority of the judges actually at the IPMS National Convention have experienced less than 3 years of judging at the national level. So you have a small cadre. I don't know what that number is off the top of my head, but you know, that's the category of 5 years and above. Essentially, you're seasoned IPMS national judges. What the data suggests, based on this individual's comment online, was they have a large contingent of newer judges that happen every year. And that does make sense because the show rotates every year. And you're going to have newer people coming to the show, wanting to judge. So it's very difficult to keep a consistent large group of individuals, I should say. There is a core, probably 50 to 100, I bet. But when we look at San Marcos, there was over 250 judges. How do I know that? The team bought 250 judges pins and they ran out. I didn't get one. That's okay.
They did run out.
But they ran out of judging pins, and I know they bought 300 pens with laser pointers. And I don't know if those were all given out. So it's between a 250 to 300 judging core group of individuals.
That's good number.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
I know typically I get stuck with a bunch, 2, 3, 4 categories. And oh, by the way, are you done yet? Because we could use you over here.
Yeah,
I had 2 categories at Nats. We were done at 9:00, 9:30.
Oh, see, you're lucky. It's all I think group dependent too. So I was very fortunate. I had two great judges.
So too. Yeah.
2 great judges and an OJT with me, and we judged 6 categories throughout the evening. We were very efficient, but there was one category in armor, or one team in armor, that took over 4 hours to judge one category. So there is still differences among the judging teams in terms of I don't want to only say experience, but on how they judge. And I think that's an opportunity when we look at how you judge at the Nationals. A team shouldn't judge 6 and another team judge just 1 over the night. And I think that shows there's an opportunity to train judges to, look efficiently and move on, because there's a lot of models to get through. And that's the easiest way to get burned out and never want to judge again. So plenty of opportunities, I think, to increase. But with that said, to be honest, it's a thankless job. at the IPMS Nationals to be a judge.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to thank from the bottom of my heart everybody who judges, especially new people, to take the risk to step in and, give an opinion on a piece of work at the national level takes some guts sometimes, especially when you're with a seasoned team. So I would recommend everybody, if you've never judged before, please give it a go. Attend the judges meeting, go into the contest room on Friday night and put some work in. You'll really learn a lot, I think.
Oh yeah.
And you help the society so much too.
Yep.
I think that's another important thing to highlight.
Yeah, it's a win-win. It really is.
I think it makes you a better modeler.
Exactly.
As an individual, it makes you a better modeler because you get to see all of the little subtle nuances of things that, make a model successful or make a model not successful. And those are things, if you can catalog them in the back of your mind, that hopefully you apply to your own work, as you move forward.
It's made me a better modeler. Absolutely, it has.
Yeah.
Frill, what were you going to say? Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's good for you as well because you get to see what the judges are actually looking for. And that way it takes the guesswork out of, or what are they looking for? Oh, they tell me, if I go and I judge and I'm, you're a person who's never judged before and you get teamed up with someone who's done it a couple times, been around the block, then you get to see what they look for. And then as Jeff alluded to, hey, hopefully you take that, you mentally write that down or something, and then you apply that on your build. And one day when you're working on something and you see something, you're like, oh, let me go back and fix that.
Yeah. I'll tell you, after my first judging experience here, just here at the local level, I came home and I was able to look at all the stuff on my shelf through a different eye. And I was like, I get it. I get it. I completely get it,
And two, I think another thing that kind of turns people off from it is the fact that there's a lot of good models on that table,
man, there
right?
is. Yeah.
So if you think about it at the national level, okay, you're at the national level and, all the models on the table would place at a local show first, second, or third.
Absolutely.
And then you have to go through and it can be intimidating. You've got to go through and you've got a category that's got 27 models in it. And then you and two other guys or gals have to go and pick the best three. And, you're going to have people that are going to go home without winning anything. And, that's just, the current, first, second, third, that's just one of the, the byproducts of that kind of a system. So, I think that kind of, people get upset, dang, you go back to your room and man, I didn't win, and
I think that one of the misconceptions that a lot of modelers have when they go to a national convention, they have to understand that this is not your local show held at the American Legion or the local middle school. It's that big fish in a small pond mentality. When you go to a national convention, you are competing against the best modelers, not only in the country, but in a lot of instances in the world.
Oh yeah.
And you got to have some realistic expectations going in, and
two, it's a good way. It's a good measuring stick for yourself as well too. Like how do I compare to some of the best modelers, in the world, basically, because I remember seeing these guys' names in Fine Scale Modeler and on the internet, and you're like, man, and then you finally get to meet them in person and you're like, oh, wow. And then, it's good to see like some of these guys that you follow, you go and you talk to them and you bend your ear a little bit, and like see what kind of advice they have for you too.
Yep.
And so you want to try and, at least try and get something out of it. Yeah, everybody wants to win and winning is good. But, it's hard sometimes when you get out there and you look at the tables and you're just, oh man, I'm not winning anything.
Well, one of the best pieces of advice that was ever given to me very long time ago, I was told that no matter how good you are or how good you think you are, there's always somebody out there who's better, who's not even trying. And if you keep that kind of in the back of your head, it lessens the sting a little bit.
And it's cool too, because you get to meet these guys, and next thing you know, you exchange phone numbers or something. And now you've got this person in your back pocket.
Well,
that,
that's
that you can reach out to, you know,
that's
for
the
something.
big thing, right? Is meeting the people and learning from those other folks. You know, I don't feel a sting when I don't win.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
really don't. My
Yeah.
thing is going to exactly what Phil was talking about, is it's making myself better, and that's by meeting the modelers out there and learning from them.
Exactly.
You know, so
One of the things, you know, else to mention at the Nationals, it's, you know, you're rewarded in many different ways in the contest area. You know, you can win an award at the Nationals, and that's fantastic. But I think what we've seen over the last couple of years is there's a few other people contributing to those awards. And what do I mean by that? You have third parties, sometimes anonymous, sometimes well known, dropping a challenge coin by a model, dropping a poker chip, putting a sticker next to it. Those little signs of recognition I have found to be much more impactful than an award taken at the show.
I agree with you 100%.
Yep, absolutely.
And I would love to see, you know, Posse has a challenge coin. I think the Geeks might have one at some point.
That's one in work.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I think what we see is that there's a lot more recognition coming from people that aren't officially associated with the show. It's the community, dare I say,
Yeah.
as the ones that are the real recognized.
That's a big word. That word's been tossed around a lot here over the last couple of weeks. Is community.
Yeah.
And that's what we're hoping the Tiger Meet will do.
Yeah. And one of the things they did at Texas before the show, they had challenge coins. And, you know, Jeff, happy to work with you if you want to look at getting challenge coins to not only promote the show, but promote modelers. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
It's gone over really well and can also be something you can sell at the event. So
TJ's got one.
Yeah, right there.
There it
Perfect.
is.
They're beautiful.
I got one left on a model when I was at Commies Fest in Colorado.
I wonder who did
That's
that.
awesome.
It wasn't me, actually.
No, I think it was Phil Peterson.
Phil Peterson. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
So-
it was left on. I was pretty excited. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I guess we can talk a little bit about that real quick. You know, those challenge coins, the e-board and members of the Texas team, I think they all received 25. So when you went to local shows throughout the year, you'd drop a challenge coin on something you really enjoyed, and there was a business card that said, "Hey, we hope to see you in Texas." And I think that was just really neat. And they got spread all over the country, and we actually took some to Scale Model World in the UK as well in November. So just another little thing to recognize modelers and hopefully draw them to the IPMS Nationals.
Fantastic.
Very cool. All right.
Should I get back to the members of the team?
Yeah, Jeff. Sorry, we kind of went down a rabbit warren there. Go ahead. Go ahead.
We took a major tangent on that. So I've already mentioned Mark Miller. Mark is the contest coordinator. My vendor coordinator is Bob Clift. He's also recently retired Army. He was a warrant officer, so he's the organizational guy. He's the guy that lines up all the ducks and the squirrels in a row and actually gets them to march in step. And so he's our vendor coordinator. Our vendor area is going to be one single large open room. So no vendors will be stuck off in a side room somewhere. And there will be no time constraints on our vendors. Unlike other facilities where we have to have the room for a different purpose, we have to knock down a vendor room to fit the banquet or something of that nature. We don't have that problem with Monona Terrace. We have one large 37,000 square foot room. We have 400 tables right now with our floor plan. We potentially have room for additional tables if we need it. But we have 400 tables available. To date, we have sold almost half of those tables. So if you are a vendor, make sure you reach out to Bob Clift. His email and all of the emails can be found on the NATS 2024 website. Also through IPMS USA on the forums. There's a 2024 forum dedicated specifically to Madison. So all the contact information is there. There's also about 2,000 different brochures that were handed out at San Marcos that has all of our contact information, and those will also, we're going through a second reprint of those as well. So those you will find those at local shows. We're going to be disseminating those to the regional coordinators, and any chapter that's interested, in using those brochures and putting them out for their local events. please feel free to contact us and we'll get some to you. My tour coordinator is Jeff Barrett. He's got 4 tours planned as of right now. The 2 big ones obviously are going to be the EAA Museum in Oshkosh and the Harley Davidson Museum in Milwaukee. And then we have a tour set up for the wives and spouses and those modelers who enjoy wine. We're going to Wallersheim Winery. So we have a wine tour scheduled. And then for the IPMS members that are bringing their families, their kids, we have a tour set up to go to the Wisconsin Dells, to the water park. Wisconsin Dells is one of the great water park locations in the country. So Jeff is going to be handling all of our tours. My seminar coordinator is Steve Gilbert. Steve is a retired teacher, educator. So he's got a firm grasp on all of the scheduling, of the seminars, which we've already touched upon, both informational and instructional seminars, as well as maintaining the schedule for the theater and the seminar rooms for other required scheduled events, such as the IPMS board meeting, the Nationals presentation, the NCC meeting, and things of that nature as well. So he'll be handling the schedule for that. The guy that's running I had a brain slip there. Our raffle coordinator, Jeremy Olson, he'll be running the raffle in a dedicated room so that we're not clogging the hallway with a bunch of people standing around impeding the flow of traffic. So we will have a dedicated room specifically for the raffle. We're looking forward to doing that. We got some companies on board that are going to be sponsoring raffle awards and kits and things of that nature as well. So we're excited about that. Don Schmitz and Chris Cortez are going to be handling the Tiger Meat area. That's our display only area. Again, we've already pretty much covered that, SIGs, group builds, club builds, chapter projects, things of that nature, as well as the walk-in display only for non-IPMS members to allow them to participate. And then last but not least, and if there's anyone else that I have forgotten, John Kruger, John Lydell, our volunteer coordinators, and then a few other positions that haven't been filled yet, as we haven't quite gotten to that point in the timeline. But the guy that's actually the brains behind this whole operation is Merrick Rogel, who is the president of IPMS Mad City Modelers. And he is the registrar, bursar. He's the numbers and money guy who will be working with the treasurer of IPMS USA. He's the brains behind the operation. And I can't give enough credit to him. Project management is his career. It's what he does for a living. And he's got a resume that's, a mile long and nothing but impressive. So he's the guy that's keeping all of this train wreck together and on the rails and moving in one direction. I don't honestly believe that we could have done it without him. He keeps us organized. He keeps us on track and on schedule. So if you see Merrick at the show, make sure you give him a pat on the back, because, I'm just the sledgehammer. I'm the guy with the big mouth and the type A personality that's not afraid to stand up and cheer on the efforts of these guys. But Merrick is the brains behind keeping it all on track. And then everybody else that's involved in any form of leadership capacity, these are the best guys in the world. I love these guys. They're all extremely competent. They have the ability to make their decisions on site and do whatever they feel is best. And I have, the utmost confidence in their abilities.
That's wicked. It sounds like you got a great team, and I know firsthand it takes a great team to make you successful, make the whole team successful.
Yeah.
So that's awesome stuff. Kudos to all of them. Jeff, we had a question come in from Bob Bear of the Voice of Bob here, and I remember the comment as well when you had stated that there would be more that the podcast would be more involved in certain different ways. You want to elaborate on how you're going to put us to work?
Well, let me preface this by
for
saying
what
that,
you can, what you can't. I know some
well,
things have
no,
been
you know what,
finalized,
I am, and I was going to say, let me preface this by saying that I have ideas in my head, and I have been given the opportunity to implement these ideas and see them through. And unless I am told by a higher authority that I have to do it another way, I'm just going to kind of rush headlong into things until
that's
I'm
the way
told
to
to
do
stop.
it.
It's better to beg for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission.
Absolutely.
And so what my thought was with the award ceremony was, I want to get you guys involved.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of knows that the posse is really kind of centered more towards armor, and the geeks are centered more towards aircraft. And there are other podcasts that are out there as well. The Mojo guys tend to cover a pretty diverse group of modeling genres and things of that nature. But my thought was, let's get you guys. I mean, you all have faces for radio. You're all articulate and well-spoken, and me included. Well, the face for radio part, I don't know about articulate and well-spoken, but we all have the ability to stand up in front of a crowd of people in front of a microphone and get the job done. And one of the complaints that we've had about the banquet and the award ceremony is that it drags on and on and on. Well, if we can speed things up, if we can make things more effective and more efficient, and dare I say more entertaining, maybe it's less of a bitter pill in terms of sitting through an hour and a half or 2 hours or 3 hours of an awards banquet. So that's my goal. It's still in the planning stages. Again, I'm just kind of running headlong until somebody tells me to stop. Or tells me otherwise. But I want to get the Model Geeks, and I want to get the Plastic Posse podcast, and I want to get the Plastic Model Mojo guys involved and have them be our category announcers for the first, second, and third place awards, as well as the specials and the best ofs. And I'm not going to elaborate too much on that because we're still putting that together. But if I get my way, like a spoiled child, I can promise that it's going to be entertaining, it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be fun. And if we can make that happen and make people walk away from it going, wow, that was really cool, maybe what we can do is set a trend for, further conventions down the road. Maybe other conventions, that are going to come after us will look at that and say, I really like the way that Madison did that. That's what we want to adopt. And it becomes a trend.
That's good. That's good stuff. I know we talked a little bit about it before, and that, and I know that Scott, JB, and his crew over there, TJ, they're all on board as well to help out in any way that we possibly can. I mean, all of us, and I'll even speak for Mike and Dave. We're all in this to promote this hobby and to help in any way that we possibly can. So we're not here to burn any bridges. We're here to build bridges and really make it work for everybody. So anything that we can do, you've got the geeks full support. Absolutely. And I think you got the entire,
I appreciate it.
Community crew. So
I appreciate it. My team appreciates it. And as you alluded to, this is not because anyone that has come before us has done a bad job.
Oh, no,
that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
When I have reiterated over and over and over again that we want Madison to be a Roman spectacle. And with that mindset, everything that comes into play, we're trying to find a better way of doing it, or a more entertaining way of doing it, a different way of doing it. And again, it's no reflection on anyone who has come before us, but inevitably there has to be a passing of the torch from one generation to the other in just about everything that we do. There's that famous meme that says, my body still thinks I'm 25, or my brain still thinks I'm 25, and my body says, try it and die, and
my body was telling my doctor, try it and die yesterday. So I completely get it.
My brain still thinks that I'm capable of doing the things that I could do 25 years ago. And the truth is I can't. So this is impetus for us to explore new ways to make things better, to find new personalities, and to find new individuals who kind of fit that mold of what we're looking for as we move forward. We're not looking at replacing anybody or retiring anybody. But let's face it, there's a lot of people who deserve a shot at being on the podium announcing or emceeing the national convention within our hobby. We all know people who are articulate and well-spoken and deserve that opportunity.
Very good. Very cool. Well, let's I guess we can go ahead and let the cat out of the bagel. I think there's been some talk about it, but since we're talking about podcast involvement and things that we're going to do,
Drum
we can
roll,
break it.
please.
Yeah, drum roll. We could kind of break into the next segment. And really what I want to do here, so I just want to turn it over to you, TJ, and you, Frill. You guys can explain what we're kicking off here, and let all the listeners out there and all the viewers that are watching now how they can become a part of this. So TJ, you want to kick off? Frill, you want to kick off? However y'all want to
Go ahead, TJ.
I got it. Okay. As most military modelers probably know, next year, 2024, is the 80th anniversary of D-Day, Operation Overlord, the Allied invasion of Nazi-occupied France. One of the most important moments in United States military history, also the British Canadians, and all of our Western allies. So for that, Darren approached me at Texas this year and asked, would I be, and us, and when I say I mean the posse, would we be interested in hosting a group build with the Model Geeks in honor of Operation Overlord in the 80th anniversary? So of course, as you know, a World War II history fan, as an Allied armor builder, my very enthusiastic answer was hell yes. So we formulated a plan, and we will be hosting a co-hosting a group build focused on the Allied armor and Allied aircraft that took part in Operation Overlord. And so what that means is pretty much anything from Operation Neptune, the amphibious landings in Normandy, till the end of the Overlord campaign, which was August 30th. So it's like a little over 2.5 months.
Yeah.
So it's anything in that time period. So for like us armor guys, that is landing the actual armor and vehicles. And it's not just armor, it's any ground vehicle that was involved in Operation Neptune. And you have Cherbourg, Khan, I think that's how you pronounce it, St. Lo, in the breakout. So all of the all the different operations that were involved in the breakout from Normandy, all the way up to the liberation of Paris, which was at the end of August 1944. So there's so many battles, so many units were involved. So there's a ton of historical information out there, if you're an armor guy or a ground vehicle guy, to find something that was involved in all of that. So that's from our side, the Triple P side. So we're going to be managing I say armor, but as I've said, it's not just armor, it's ground vehicles, Jeeps, any kind of the weird stuff. The M29 Weasel that just came out from TACOM, there's tons of pictures of those driving around, and everyone loves the Weasel. So I'd expect to see at least a couple on the display. So Frill, why don't you tell us about the aircraft?
All right. Thanks, TJ. Well, like TJ alluded to, the Model Geeks, we're going to be running the aircraft part, the aviation side of the D-Day landings. So pretty simple, point blank. If it's got invasion stripes, it's good. I mean, so anything the U.S. flew, it was involved in D-Day, to, the Canadian Armed Forces, everybody who took part and had the black and white invasion stripes on their airplanes are fair game. And we want to see all kinds, we want to see as many different aircraft as possible. And 48 scale is going to be the targeted scale for this. And the more, the merrier.
Yeah, and so for us ground guys, we're looking at 35th scale. So sorry to some of you 48 scale builders and some of you 72nd scale builders out there, but it's a good excuse to go grab a good 35th scale kit. There's a ton of good ones out there for any subject you can think of. And kind of going back to this would probably affect ground vehicles way more than it would affect aircraft. So it's Allied only. However, captured Axis equipment with Allied markings, like there's a lot of reference out there for stuff that was abandoned that we captured and put to use against the Germans. That's okay too. Obviously, the focus is on Allied man and machines, but I'm a big fan of captured German equipment as a modeling subject, so it's kind of hard to say like, oh well, I mean, it is an Allied vehicle technically.
Yep.
And then kind of also at the same time, we don't want to exclude figures and we don't want to exclude ships. The focus will be on aircraft and vehicles. So if you're interested in doing one of those things, just reach out to myself or Frill and we'll get it set up. We're still kind of working on how we don't expect a lot of, especially ships, because ships are complicated and historically they are one of the smallest segments of the display. Not very many guys build ships because I've looked at one and they look really hard, so I get why most people don't do it. But we'll make accommodations because obviously we don't have unlimited space, but we don't, Operation Neptune, a lot of ships were involved, so we don't want to necessarily exclude anyone that is only a shipbuilder.
Right.
Yep. And then there will be a sign up list here soon out on the on Facebook. We're going to have a page and there'll be a sign up list for everybody to, put up there what you want to model. And I know there is a D-Day theme award as well at this Nats. And if you are, and if you want to participate, but you also want to enter it in a contest, then, I'm sure just, if you want to enter it, then just need to pull it out by like noon on that Saturday, right? Or excuse me, noon on that Friday. Right, yeah.
Friday afternoon by 3 p.m.
There you go.
You move your model from the Tiger Meet area up to the contest area. And one of the things that I guess I should clarify with this space, we are on the mezzanine level. There are actually 4 levels to Monona Terrace. So this is kind of a multi-deck facility as opposed to being all on one floor. So the vendors will be on level 1. The mezzanine level is level 2, which is where the Tiger Meet area will be, which is where the group builds will be held. Level 3 is the contest room and seminar room area, and the Grand Terrace, which is the main social area for the Nats. And then level 4 is actually an open air rooftop cafe park setting. So when you've had enough of, being in a crowded room with a bunch of people, you can go up on the roof and sit at a table, cocktail table, and overlook the lake. So Friday, 3 o'clock, if you have your models in the convention, you have to move them from the display area, Tiger Meet area, up to the contest area. And I should also indicate that in conjunction with what we were talking about with non-IPMS members, if you are a non-IPMS member and you wish to compete or participate, not compete, participate in the group builds, you have 2 choices. You can register for the convention, join IPMS USA, register for the convention, or you can do your daily walk-in as a spectator. And you do not have to be a member of IPMS USA to put your stuff on in the Tiger Meet area.
That's awesome. That's a big change, a huge change. And
well, no one's told me I can't do it. So
right, there you go. Just real quick, if I could back up, and I apologize, but you mentioned again the rooftop terrace. That's we didn't talk about the banquet dinner, but I think that's where the banquet dinner is going to be, right, Jeff?
Weather permitting.
Weather permitting.
We're going to have the grand plan again until someone tells me otherwise.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steer away from the group build, but it just came to me and I wanted to get it out there. So
Monona Terrace, if you go online and you look at mononaterrace.com at their website, you can see the top floor of the facility is actually an open air park cafe type setup. We're going to have the dinner open air, weather permitting, obviously, on the rooftop. So, it's something special. And then from there, the individuals who have purchased banquet tickets will be given access to seating in the theater area, which is a 300 seat theater for the award ceremony. At that same time, across the hall will be the Grand Terrace area, which is the main social area of the Nationals. We're going to be setting up a large screen there. And that's going to be more of there will be chairs set up for individuals who want to just sit and watch the screen. But it's going to be more of a cocktail lounge social area with the award ceremony being simulcast.
Actually, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's get back there and have a little drinky and
Yeah,
watch
absolutely.
So, okay.
It is
All right,
Wisconsin after all. I mean,
there you go. There you go. All right. So anyway, sorry about the rabbit
Yep.
hole there, guys. So back to the group build. Frill, TJ, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I don't think we mentioned as far as moving your models. So I think this is confirmed, Aaron, that this is a display group build.
That's right.
This is not. We will not be entering this
As a judged.
under our banner into the judged or not judged group build category.
This is going in
the contest.
as a Operation Overlord / D-Day SIG.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing here. It's not a judge group display. We just want to showcase everybody's talents and put it out there for everybody to see, and then of course to honor those from Operation Overlord. So
now, one of the things that I will say, and it kind of falls outside the auspices of the group build, we're focusing on and falling in line with the theme of all American, red, white, and blue. So we're focusing on allied vehicles, allied aircraft of Operation Overlord. If you are building German armor that appeared, in the Normandy front, if you're doing things that are outside of 48 scale or 35th scale, don't let that prevent you from bringing your work in to participate in the overall overriding theme of D-Day. We will have tables available for the guy who wants to bring in the 16th scale SDK of Z251, John Bonani.
yeah, John,
or the or the
look at him
72nd scale. Yeah. So there will be space for those things as well, but the official group build will be allied equipment. And again, as TJ alluded, we want to encourage the guys that are doing figures and the guys that are doing, some of the smaller vignettes and things of that nature. The whole purpose of this is to show off your art and to show off your work. So I wanted to kind of say, don't, if you only build 35th scale German armor and you're really excited about this, don't worry about it. There will be space for you to put that Tiger or that Panther or that Stood down on the table. Yeah. We have 5,500 square feet, and I think that gives us room for probably 1,000 models.
Yeah. Oh, in the SIG area,
in the Tiger Meat area. Yeah. Now we're sharing that with a bunch of other SIGs and group builds that are going on as well. But you know what? If we have to, we'll find space.
There you go.
Darren, is it worth mentioning, probably a spoiler alert, but I think it's safe to say that anyone that participates in this build will be given a little bit something special before the day's over on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, we got to work that out. But yeah,
but they'll be recognized.
Yeah.
They'll be recognized.
Yeah, absolutely. We're working on that.
Yep.
And so everybody that joins has something. That's the key though, right? Is has something on the table. They will be recognized. Absolutely.
All right. So I'm going to put everyone on the spot here. What do you bring in for the display? Darren, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, he's going to do it. He put me on the spot. So, all right, I have got, and Whitey's going to shoot me, but I think Whitey's doing a diorama. So I'm certainly not doing that, but I have a trumpeter C-47 up here that I want to get done. for that group build, and also want to do a P47. And that's where I'm kind of going to just say no more. If there's more time than that, then maybe. But that's my plan, and I'm sticking to it. So who's next? Who else are you going to shotgun there, TJ?
Frill, what are you gonna build?
I knew it was coming.
Well, I'm probably going to do a P51 and of course a P47. I don't know if it's going to be a Razorback or a bubble top.
Oh, I'm doing
And
a
then-
Razorback. Yeah.
And I was thinking I've got an extra Tamiya 48 scale P38 GH model, and I got the CMK photo recon conversion
Ooh.
for it. So I don't know, something along those lines. Yeah.
ERU blue.
I'll tell you, I could probably
Exactly.
speak and sign up. El Presidente is going to do something of British markings, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Nice.
and, I'm-
to put him out there now.
thanks for reminding me. But we also, courtesy of El Presidente, we have
That's right.
a copy of the official order from President or General Eisenhower
Yep.
to all units about the invasion stripes.
Yep.
And
The whole gouge.
the whole gouge about what time they're supposed to be on and where they're supposed to be and that kind of thing. If you're a fighter
Sizes,
aircraft
all
or a
that.
bomber, and we can get that. We will put it up on the page as well, so everybody who participates can kind of see. Boom! Here's a copy of the actual message that went out to all Allied units during World War II before the D-Day invasion. So
Fantastic.
What about you, JB?
I'm going to sign up for something ambitious. I'm going with a duplex drive Sherman. So
A duplex.
I'll say what now?
Yeah. As Sphincter said, huh?
You spoke like Greek.
Basically a Sherman with a boat hull on it. But one of my friends catted one up. I believe it's available on Cults 3D right now, but I plan on getting that 3D printed, and I will bring a DD Sherman to our group build.
That's
Fantastic.
beautiful. Beautiful.
So that's a Sherman boat is essentially what that is, guys.
It's
Didn't
a
they
doggy
lose,
paddle
like-
Sherman, yeah.
Didn't they
Yeah.
lose like half of them just trying
Yeah,
to get ashore?
it did
No.
not work that well.
Got a little
Great
heavy, I'm
idea,
thinking.
but in practice, great on
Yeah.
paper, not in water.
Yeah,
Right.
What-
it's weird
what-
when you put a 30-ton. I don't know. I can't remember
Yeah,
exactly how
right.
heavy they are, but they floated, just not
Yeah.
very well,
Yeah.
but they did float.
Archimedes worked in some cases.
Yeah.
Look, old Samo's already ponied up here. There's Nemo, Spitfire, Mark 9.
There you go.
What about you, Jeff? Are you gonna have something on the table with us?
I am. One of the things that I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but about 2 years ago, I started working on a scratch built 1/6 scale SDKFZ 250. It's finally finished. It made its rounds to a few local shows, and now it sits in a case off camera. So I thought it would be really cool to bring that out. That obviously won't be in this group build, but that's going to kind of, maybe it'll be the centerpiece. It attracts all the attention. But I'm working on a Firefly 5C right now, the Asuka kit. And then I'm going to start a Dragon Firefly hybrid with the cast hull in Polish markings. And that's, I'm going to gift that to Marek Rogel, who moved here from Poland in the 90s. And so I'm going to gift that to him when the show is over. So for the armor side, aircraft side to be determined. I'm only saying the Fireflies because I've got them half done, and I figure I can finish them both before next year with everything that's going on. But the aircraft side, I'd like to do something. I was thinking maybe a B-26 or something along those lines, something that is atypical of P-47, P-51, Typhoon, Tempest, Spitfire. So I've got one in the collection. It's been calling my name. It's got all the aftermarket and all the resin. So if I can find the time, make the time, then that might be what I choose to do.
Very cool.
Outstanding. TJ, what are you bringing?
So I think if anyone can tell, I have a stack full of Shermans back there. So I'll probably be building a Sherman. I'm thinking Canadian because I've never done a Canadian Sherman before. I've done British, I've done Polish, done American. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do a Canadian Sherman. I have like, I don't know, a dozen at least, maybe more of the star decal sheets for various types of Shermans. They're one of those things where if I buy something that's from Sprue Brothers, I'll throw one on in the cart because might as well. So I'm definitely be doing one of those. And then I think I already kind of talked to you guys. I have the P47M, the Tamiya kit, which you can build as a D, so with a bubble top. And I think Doug and I are going to split a decal sheet because there's one he found a picture of that, Doug from our podcast. There's one he found a picture of that he wants to build, and the decal sheet has like a bunch of Overlord P47s. I love the P47.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Of course.
I've heard that kit's pretty good, so that's part of the reason why I have it. So yeah,
Amazing kit.
looking forward to building that. I've got a little bit aftermarket for it, some barrels and some cockpit stuff from Edward, but yeah, be pretty cool.
You don't need a lot for those Tamiya Thunderbolts.
No, they're amazing kits.
Yeah,
They
that's
are.
what I got, the barrels and I think some photo etch for the cockpit. That was it.
Yeah.
I was like,
Barrels
oh,
and seat belts are really all you need.
And the
Yeah.
I forgot who made it, but they made replacement sidewalls because Tamiya, I guess when they did the kit, they used like a restored aircraft that did not have the pilot's oxygen hose on the right sidewall of the cockpit. So you have to scratch build that if you want to make it correct. And I saw a comment, someone, let's see who it was. Logan asked, is this a one variant only type deal or can there be doubles? And I believe we're allowing doubles. That way we can get as maximum participation as possible.
Yeah.
And we don't want to make someone, oh man, because Frildo decided he wants to do this and I'm not going to do it. Nope, that is not the case.
You look at the number of C-47s alone. If I was going
yeah.
to do one, and you say you're only going to put one out, that we can't do that. So,
and kind of in that same vein, we're gonna give the benefit of the doubt to the modeler. Like, right? You don't need proof. I mean, obviously, if it has invasion stripes,
sure,
obviously, but especially for the armor guys, I don't know if I mentioned that, but there's no burden of proof. Just if you have reference, that's great. I mean, and I'm sure we'll figure how we're going to display everything. So we'll probably do some sort of little tags, because the little tags that you guys put out for your Down Under Zero group build were awesome.
Was that fire or what? That's all.
That was amazing.
Those things were cool.
Yeah. So when I saw that, that's when, and then we're talking about this. I'm like, that is what we need to do. That's amazing.
It's good stuff.
So that if you have information about your vehicle, but like I said, like especially for the armor, there were so many armored brigades and there's 3 armored divisions just from the United States that were there.
Yeah.
It's
possibilities
good
are
enough.
endless.
Yeah, it's good enough. If it's a unit that was engaged in combat at that time period, awesome. You don't need I don't need a serial number on the tank to match a real life. So it's not what we're doing here. It's just, let's just celebrate what it is, honor the men and the machines, and put an awesome display on the table.
I agree 100%.
That's why if it's got invasion stripes, it qualifies.
That's right. Real quick, I want to, we're pushing right here about an hour and a half into the stream. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to reach out to the folks watching. If you have questions for the panel here, if you have questions about the group build, go ahead and start putting them into the chat. I'll throw them up here. We'll hit them as we can. I can't promise that we'll get to all of them. We're running 100 plus here into the to the stream, which is really, really cool. And I see the comments are really flying, but we'll try and get to what we can. I think we could go back once we're done. Maybe we can address some of the questions in the comments that we don't get to, but go ahead and start putting them out there for the panel. And we'll throw them up here on the screen as we can. So,
and I think Frill mentioned that we do have a group, a dedicated Facebook group for this.
Yep.
I know I'll drop the link everywhere I can, and I know you guys will do the same. Just join up. We'll get you in there, and share your work, share your references. Let's all have a good time. Because
did we touch on the group? I'm sorry, I may have missed it. It happens. We talked about that age and mind and body thing earlier. Did we touch on the fact that the group is actually a SIG as well? So if people have the reference photos
yeah,
or if,
briefly.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
just want to make sure that they understand that it's not just posting pics of your in progresses, which we love, but go ahead if you've got a video or if you've got a story or if you've got pictures or what have you, put it in there. It's all good stuff. So, real quick, we got Adam Stevens who says, "How about a small selection of current planes that commemorate D-Day?" Well, I'm a little.
See, we thought about that, and I was, I'll be the bad guy in a room, and no, because we want to commemorate and honor the men,
Yeah,
the men and machines that were there during
that fought that period.
fought. I mean, it's great. Originally we thought about that idea because there's been some other aircraft that have come out that have done like the invasion strike thing to
like
celebrate.
the F-15. Yep.
Right. Yeah. Like that comes to mind. There's a VA-34 A6 that did the same thing. And we thought that just to kind of keep everything cohesive, that it would just be limited to the aircraft that were actually flown in the actual operation.
Now I'll mention real quick, I think this is a great opportunity. If someone wants to do that, there is the ability to organize your own SIG.
Oh, yeah.
And lead that. And we at the Posse, I'm sure the geeks will sign up as well. We will more than happy spread the word for your
we'll
SIG
promote
that
the hell
created.
out of it. Yep.
So if that is something of really interest to you and what you want to do, please feel free to lead that charge. Send us the details, and we will be sure that our listeners and viewers know where to go to do those heritage schemes.
Yeah, that's a great point. Really great point. I'm not sure who the user is here. Where will the info be found for SIGs? What, who, what, how to join, etc.
So for just like basic SIGs, not including this one but for any SIG, IPMS USA has a separate website or separate tab on their website that lists all the SIGs, and the contact information for who runs them. I personally run two, not related to this one, the M4 Sherman one, shocker, and a Machine and Krieger SIG, again, big
Shocker.
surprise. So if you just search, I can't remember the actual website, I'm sorry. If you just search IPMS USA SIGs, it's the first result, and it'll take you to the list of them. And it's not really something you necessarily join per se. Like there's not like an official, I don't have like a membership role for my list for my SIG. It's I think originally there was like a website, but now this is kind of what they wanted you to have, but now it's kind of morphed to, our website is social media for the most part. So I know for the two SIGs that I run, I have a Facebook group for each one dedicated to that thing. And this Overlord one, it follows that same mold. So that's how you find them. There's a bunch out there. I think there's one that I'm in the group of. It's, I think, the blue and gray scale modelers. It's modeling the Civil War. That's a pretty active one.
Yep, I'm an admin there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Now that you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, you are. That's right. I'm pretty sure you approved my application when I asked to join.
I probably did.
But yeah, that's how you can find the SIGs. Yeah, this is not really a club, sort of thing. It's just a collection of people that are interested in both the modeling and the history and just everything behind it. Oh, and Bruce just mentioned our buddy JC started the North African campaign SIG. Also a cool group. I'm also a big fan of the North African campaign because I don't think it gets enough attention.
It doesn't.
In pop culture and just in history in general, and even in modeling. Because my favorite tank other than the Sherman, my favorite tank of all time was only in North Africa, the Crusader.
Right.
So
and we do have other SIGs that are, and group builds that are working. I know we have a women in aviation group build that's happening for the Tiger Meet. We have a real space SIG that is ramping up right now. We have the North Africa. We're currently working on putting together a 100 years of Le Mans for the race car guys. There's a whole bunch of different stuff that's going on. If you already have a SIG organized or a group build underway and you haven't reached out to us yet, contact us through the NATS website, nats2024.com. All of the emails are there. And you want to reach out to Don Schmitz, who is coordinating all of the tiger meat. And that is the official name for the display only area. That was Don's brainchild. So he's got to get full credit for coming up with that. And as both Darren and TJ alluded to, we're working on some recognition stuff for the tiger meat. So there will be hopefully patches and pins and things of that nature as well for those who participate. The nats2024.com is your contact point for getting your SIG in the door at the national convention.
So to Logan, you heard Jeff just mention there will be a 24-hour Le Mans racing SIG. So reach out. Jeff, all that information, is that on the website, or will it be on the website?
It's yes. I believe we just added the and again, because I have guys that are just kind of doing all their own things and we have all of these bullet points that we're hitting, things happen and I don't even know about it.
Sure.
But yeah, I think we just put up the information for the SIGs and special event stuff for the tiger meat. So that is, again, the website for that is nats2024.com.
There you go. nats2024.com.
The same as it was for San Marcos. You just changed the date.
There you go. There was a really important question here. I think this one here was actually, this goes over to JB.
Ha! Oh, funny you should ask, Craig. While we've been talking, not the presidential suite, but I found an Airbnb that's walking distance to Monona Terrace. So,
oh my goodness gracious!
I think I might be booking that just as a placeholder for the Plastic Posse. So more to come on that regard. But yeah, there's some pretty nice Airbnbs in downtown Madison.
He's taking that show offsite.
Yep, Posse barbecue on the lake.
There'll be no hotel security at that place.
That's right. Well, the owner lives on the 3rd floor, which I read. I was like, oh, that's awkward.
Oh,
but
that might be a little strange.
They don't say any restrictions on parties. So real quick, Darren, I did want to go back to the SIGs.
Okay.
As people, Logan, you mentioned, I incentivize, if you have an interest, just start it. People will come. It's like the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they'll come. I'll say right here, I'm likely to start one for the Ardennes Offensive. I really love that. And I would love to see a little SIG for that too. So stay tuned for more info. But if you're passionate about it, if you want to start something, do it. And we are more than happy to support you and promote it.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole premise behind this is to build more interest in the SIGs and get more of that out there. So
right.
The more the merrier. I mean, here, Michael, how many sci-fi Gunpla categories? Start a SIG.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have a special interest group that's dedicated to sci-fi.
Yeah. Look at MAC this year. Just put it in Madison. Yeah,
exactly.
And if you're referencing the actual contest, how many categories will there be in Gunpla or sci-fi in the actual convention contest? Then go to the IPMS USA website and look at what the contest categories are.
Yeah.
It
probably
is
10 or so.
I think there's about 10 or so.
Yeah.
Will there be a dramatic increase in the sci-fi Gunpla categories, from San Marcos to Texas, or from San Marcos to Madison? Probably not. But we are placing an emphasis on and I've got people working behind the scenes within the Gunpla community and the gaming community. There are some amazing figure painters in the gaming community. We're trying to bring these people into the fold. We're trying to cross-pollinate between some of the best armor painters that I've ever seen are guys who do gaming stuff, and they don't build 35th scale. They build 56th scale. And when you look at their work, it's absolutely incredible. So we're trying to cross-pollinate with these populations and these demographics. So as Darren said, if you've got an interest, If you want to host a Gunpla SIG for the tiger meat area, by all means, absolutely make it happen. We'll make the room for you. We will promote the daylights out of it for you on your behalf. You'll be involved in all of the press releases and publications and all of the written stuff that we put out, telling people what to expect in the show and what we're hoping to accomplish. But we can't do it all ourselves. We got to have your help.
And for our I know someone asked about signups too for the group build, the SIG. You can check our website, our Facebook page,
A Facebook group.
Yep, our Facebook group that we're going to have, and we will have the sign up sheet will be there for people to say what they're bringing and what you're going to do. So we'll be able to keep kind of tabs on everything to get a number of what to expect.
Yeah, there you go. So TJ, that's live now, right? The Facebook group is up and running. People can join.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So good stuff.
And it's an Excel doc, and there's 2 tabs. I believe the first one is the armor, and then the second tab is the aircraft.
Yep. So Frill and I will have control of that. And then you post in the group what you want to build, and we'll add it to the list. It's mainly the main reason is just so when we actually put the display on the table, we're able to find out what it is, so we know for a fact. I don't want to write down the wrong thing, and any kind of information that we feel will be pertinent, just so we know when we're done who to thank. And like we mentioned before, we are working on something special for everyone that puts a model on the table with us, because we want to not necessarily reward that. That's not really the right term, but recognize that. Thank you. That's
acknowledge.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Yeah. So it's it also helps us keep track of who all's out there doing what too. So
yeah,
absolutely.
And I'm a big spreadsheet fan. I like making spreadsheets for some dumb reason.
You did pop those out pretty quick. I was rather impressed.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
when you were
really excited about this, or you were Johnny on it. I love spreadsheets, but it was
it's both. When you when you spend 5 years working at a data center and you work at night, and you have to learn how to use Excel, you get pretty good at it, and you get used to doing it. I didn't know how to use Excel when I got that job, and by the time I left, I was like, I'm a freaking pro at this.
Outstanding.
Michael asked, is there a cap on how many models can be displayed per SIG? And no, we want to make it where Jeff there's
up to 5,500 square foot.
Yep. Yeah. We want to make it where Jeff's got to shit us another table or something.
If he's got to drop 3 tables out of that keister, man, we're doing a great thing.
That's a visual nobody needs.
Yeah, I think laughs aside, dare I say, we're looking to make Madison a statement. We're looking to make this show a truly memorable event, not only from the traditional Nationals perspective, but show a shift in how we think about the National Convention. I had the opportunity to go to Scale Model World last year in the UK, and what they do with SIGs and club displays is truly astounding. And I think this is our opportunity in the US to up level in that regard and really show what matters most in the hobby and that community aspect.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right, because I think a lot gets lost on first, second, or third, and I'm a nobody. People think that, if I don't place the Nats, then I'm not worthy of this hobby, and Cody, if you want to bring a whole squadron of P-51s or excuse me, they're not squadron, they're fighter groups or whatever however the Air Force, Army Air Corps did it back then. But if you want to bring an entire wing, more power to you. Bring them.
He's an armor guy, so he's going to have a whole brigade.
One of the things that I do want to point out, and people are asking about number, if you are registered for the convention, if you walk through the door, we know who you are, and you get your envelope with the T-shirt and the decal sheet and everything else. there is no limit to what you can bring for the Tiger Meat area. If you are coming in as a non-IPMS member, and you pay your $20 at the door to walk in and be a spectator, we are going to limit those to 2 entries per.
Yeah, that's fair,
so,
I think.
And let's be honest, in the grand scheme of things, it behooves you to join IPMS at that point. Because by the time you get done for 4 days of walk-in as a spectator, you've already more than covered the cost of the show registration. And you get all of the free stuff on top of it, and you get your cap lifted on the number of models that you can bring in to participate.
Yeah, that's a very great point.
And
Really
you can compete if you so choose.
But membership has its benefits too, right?
It does, and that I'll be honest with you, that is something that I've had to fight with in this area, in my local area, with the Nationals coming to town. Everyone thinks that this is like a local club show, where anybody can just show up and pay your $5 and walk away with best in show.
Contraire.
Au contraire. And I have to kind of emphasize that this is the IPMS USA National Convention. First and foremost, this convention is put on for the benefit of IPMS USA members. And that is not to be elitist, that's not to be a snob or anything like that. But how many conventions can you walk into if you don't belong to the parent organization? I've never been a cop, and they're not going to let me register for the state trooper convention.
That's a fact.
There are certain things that people have to remember. If you want to participate in this convention and run with the big dogs, you have to be a member of the society. You got to be part of the club. We are affording the opportunity for non-IPMS members to come and participate. And I will be honest, we're doing it with the hopes that they see the benefit. They see the advantages of being a member of the society and participating and hanging around with great guys like you and getting to meet their scale model heroes from the internet or Facebook or Fine Scale, whatever the case may be. And they can put a value on that. It's an intrinsic value that will allow them to be part of something bigger than all of us as individuals.
Well done.
That's my altruistic approach, altruistic approach.
That's good stuff. Hey, JB, Adam here says, what's the highest number of models entered in the Nats? And I think what was that? Chattanooga? Is that the biggest one? I don't remember.
It was Chattanooga.
Nope,
it was Chattanooga. It was over 3,000. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. San Marcos came, I believe, 2 or 3 short.
Two or three short, yeah.
That said, though, what's interesting is that's the number in the contest area. Chattanooga had a unbelievable display area as well. And I think that number's floating out there somewhere of how many they had in the contest. And then I think with the display area, I want to say they had over 5,000 models.
Yeah.
The way we're talking about this for Madison, I think we can beat that. Let's throw the gauntlet down right now. I think we can beat it.
Well, now Vegas did that too, right? Because they had a hard time determining. They had that separate room. And I know there was
had a separate room.
Display of tanks in there that some guy had.
Oh, Mark Deladuca.
The 72nd scale ones.
It was 3 figures worth of tanks.
Duke Mad Dog brought 1,000 of his own models.
Yeah.
And you bring up an interesting point. I think, unfortunately, again, it all comes down to space and that side room. What Chattanooga, I think, did what was great was they had the display in front of the contest area. What I'm looking forward in Madison is it's actually like a large display area. And I think it'll be a hub for really a lot of social activity. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's cool, right? Have everybody that's what it should be too.
Yeah, 100%.
Walk around there, checking out the work, and just enjoying that atmosphere.
As I alluded to before, with that space, because everything is decked, it's vertical as opposed to horizontal. If you're going from the vendor room up to the contest room on the escalator, you go right past the Tiger Meat area. So there's no bad spot in the building. No one is going to be sequestered off in a corner somewhere where you're invisible. So everyone going from the vendor area to the contest area or vice versa walks right past the Tiger Meat area. So it will be prominent.
Very cool. I have one last question here, and then I'm probably going to wrap this up and just kind of go around the room and roll with everybody. We're rolling on 2 hours here, but this was a great point brought up by Ken Reed, and I know, Jeff, you mentioned your SIG coordinator, but very good point here. We don't want to duplicate efforts of work. So do you have, or will you have, like a database of who's running those SIGs as they sign up so that folks can reach out to them if they want to be a part of that?
We currently have that on the Nats 2024 All-American Red, White, and Blue Facebook group. That is the carryover from the San Marcos site, which was the carryover from the Vegas site, which was carryover from Chattanooga. So that Facebook group is an extremely large group of National Convention attendees. There's a pinned message there that indicates who all of the points of contact are for the group builds that we have currently been contacted and have acknowledged that they are participating. That will eventually get migrated over to the website. I'm not sure. I'll be completely honest. My biggest concern is that we're going to run out of space. If we generate so much momentum that we don't have space, that is not a good problem to have. Especially since we're trying to keep the Tiger Meet area isolated from the contest area. I would hate to have a display only area on 2 different levels and split it up. That kind of defeats the purpose of the impact of the exhibit. So it is imperative to us that anyone who is putting a SIG together, not only do we have to know what your SIG is going to be about, but how much space do you anticipate? How many models are you bringing, or do you anticipate showing up, and what are your space requirements? You know, I've got one gentleman who's bringing 72nd scale P51 Mustangs. He needs one 8-foot table, and he's going to put 300 models on the table. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about, like, the mistake that I made with San Marcos was, bringing 31 48 scale B17s, and gave poor Tom Moon down in San Marcos a fit because we didn't know where we were going to fit these things. So from a logistics standpoint, if you're putting a SIG together, please contact us. Do it through the website, or you can contact me directly. I'm available on Facebook. You can message me there. Don Schmitz is the guy and Chris Cortez are the guys that are actually doing the logistical aspects of setting that area up. And we might come to a point in time where we say we've got 1,000 models allocated, and we're going to have to shut it down to prevent, not having space for someone. I hate to do that, but there's just so many lifeboats for the Titanic, and I don't,
Well, I mean, let's face it. This is really the first Nats that I know of that has really put this effort out there, right? So, just because we reach a capacity, I want to make sure that the viewers and listeners, they don't shut down after that. That just means that we've got momentum going into Virginia Beach to make more space for it, and so on and so on. It can only grow, right? You got to put water on it. Right. And at some point, it's you got to move it to another pot.
Yep. And I did get a note from the Virginia team already asking me how many tables have we allocated for display only and SIGs and club builds, the Tiger Meet area. Yeah. And I've already conveyed that information on to them, so they are already looking at what we are doing.
Yeah, that's cool.
And hopefully they can perpetuate and carry on with what we're hoping to achieve.
Yeah, outstanding. Yeah, it's just going to get bigger and better and bigger.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, look, we're pushing 2 hours there. I want to go ahead and go around the room real quick here. I'll start with JB. You have any parting words, parting shots, round saved, however you want to put it, for the folks out there?
I'm going to go with I'm going to coin it the 3 M's. Come to Madison, bring money, bring models.
Bring money, bring models. Outstanding. What about you, TJ? Oh, he's on mute. I even made a transition and
So
everything.
embarrassing. So
Rookie.
embarrassing. Amateur hour up in here.
Who invited the new guy?
I know. I'm tired. It's past my bedtime.
It's Saturday.
Yeah, I know. I still go to bed early.
Oh my God.
Oh, nothing other than, looking forward to Madison, looking forward to the show, looking forward to not having to drive for 2 days to get there. And hopefully I see everyone's awesome models, both in the contest room and in the Tiger meet.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, Frill, any parting shots?
No, just echo what TJ said. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody's models, whether they're entering them in the contest or they're going to be doing the Tiger meet area.
Yeah.
And let's fill these D-Day SIGs up. Let's see how many models we can put in that.
Yeah, I would love it. It needs to be epic. We're rounding out here with Jeff. Anything you want to leave with the viewers?
Well, I want to thank you guys for being so receptive to putting this grand idea that popped into my head together and turning it into a reality. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a great nationals. We've got a lot planned. We're excited about everything that we're hoping to achieve. I have to work to kind of curb the enthusiasm of a lot of the team members. What I will ask of the general public is that there are 1,001 things that are going on behind the scenes. And if we don't have the answer to your questions right away, please bear with us. Had I known the amount of work that goes into putting a national convention together, I probably would have decided to just go on vacation somewhere else that week. But I think we're, as JB alluded to, I think we're creating a paradigm shift in how we view the national convention. And I think that there are 101 little intangible things. They're 5% things that if we can pull them off and we can make them happen, it makes the show that much better for everyone involved. We're excited. We have a great venue. The amenities, especially having moved downtown, I mean, the microbreweries and the cheese curds and the restaurants, I mean, you guys are going to lose your minds. And if you don't, well, that's on you, because, I'm a stick in the mud and I have a blast when I go to Capitol Square.
Let me be clear. I was kidding about the cheese curds earlier. I don't.
Oh,
like cheese
no.
curds.
We're working on having a cheese. We are working on having a cheese curd vendor there on Saturday.
Yeah.
So bring a cooler with you and you can take cheese curds home. I'm trying to make that happen.
Good stuff. All right. Well, I think from myself to everybody, especially everybody that's joined in tonight, I've been kind of tracking the numbers, and it's there's been quite a few folks that have rolled through the live stream tonight, and I'm sure there's a lot more that'll watch this. I know, like our friend Derek Post, who was traveling, couldn't make it. But there are those folks out there that are working, et cetera, et cetera. If you're catching this on the recording, please put your questions out there in the comment section and we'll get back to you as best we can. I want to go ahead and plug again the group. Frill and TJ are going to be running that pretty much. All the entries and all that stuff will all be in there, obviously. But if you have any questions whatsoever, just drop them in there. And we'll get back to you on those as best we can. So, I don't know what else to say other than what a great night. This has been a lot of fun. I would like to maybe try and put something like this together once every month or to 6 weeks or something, to just kind of do a little update on the old face box here with the SIG and with you, Jeff, to see how things are going.
Absolutely.
Maybe if the listeners out there, the viewers out there like that, please let us know. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know over there as well. The comment, the whole like thing, that algorithm BS that happens over there. But other than that, man, I think this has been a great conversation. I'm looking forward to 2024. Really am.
We're excited for it. I know we're going to be working through it, and it's gonna come and go like a jet flying overhead, and it's going to be over before we know it. But we're looking forward to trying to do something that is memorable, unforgettable.
Yeah.
And as long as the cops don't show up, well, hey, it's a success.
That's never happened, Jeff. Never happened in the history of IPMS. It's never happened.
No.
JB's laughing. Look at him up there.
No.
All right. Well, from me to all the viewers, and I'm sure with everybody else, good night all. It's been a lot of fun, and we'll catch y'all the next time.
Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Y'all have a great night.
You too.
See you guys.
Peace.
See ya.